All right, man.
Bruh.
Let's move on, man. We're gonna move on to the UFC, man. We'll come back to basketball, man. Jack versus Muhammad. I watched the highlights. Um, Brutal. I'm telling you, they starting to win me over. And I'm a lead in with they starting to win me over because I don't like this Shakur Stevenson fight. I don't care about a guy that's 33-0 with what 30 knockouts or 37-0 with 33 knockouts or something crazy like that. Who
Mhm.
we don't know this guy. The only notable win he has was against Tevin Farmer, who was washed up at the time. He had already lost what 8 fights, and now Shakur is fighting this guy when we know he should be fighting Tank. And then you hit the remote and you go over to the UFC and there's blood everywhere. The people standing up. The man, it's so much blood. I mean, it looked like an old NWA Ric Flair fight. I mean, I liked it. I wish I had seen the whole thing, and I won't miss the next one. I promise you that. I mean, that was worth the price of admission from what I saw. And it went all 5 rounds. I mean, I'm like, how can the guy take another punch? And the guy that won't
Yeah.
bleeding that bad, he was covered in the other dude blood, and his nose was flat. His
Yeah.
nose was flat. And these guys they was throwing hands with everything they had, man. That was high level competition. It was high level fighting, and it was high level enjoyable if you like fights. I couldn't ask for nothing better than that. That was incredible. Them dudes is crazy. Do they drug test over there?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Woo.
Absolutely.
Now, back in the days of Uberim and Vitor Belfort was questionable, but they definitely drug test now. I'll just add this. I liked this. So Jack Della Maddalena, I like him. I think he is a good prospect. I'm glad they gave him a shot early and didn't make him wait. And they're not trying to pick, at least for this one, they weren't trying to like wait and pick the right fighter. Da da da. Get these young guys in, get them this championship experience, and let us see who they are. And he showed us that he's somebody you want to watch fight. One of the things I enjoyed seeing was recently in the UFC, we've seen a bunch of fighters get shots at titles in big fights who don't know anything about wrestling. They're just getting taken down all over the place. Guys are landing 30 takedowns in 5 rounds. It's absolutely ridiculous. And Jack
Yes.
showed you have to go in and you have to train takedown defense if you're a striker. And I respect him for that. It reminded me of the old days with Chuck Liddell, man, where he was sprawling and doing everything he could to keep you from taking him down, and that was his wrestling. And it allowed him to get his fight off. On the other side, I think Bilal Muhammad won over some fans because just because things weren't going his way, he said, you know what? I'm not going to sit here and have a boring fight just grabbing at this dude's legs. I'm going to stand up. I'm going to bite on my mouthpiece. I'm going to see if I can beat him on the feet, even though, I may not be as talented on the feet. Man, I respect that all day, right? I respect that. He's the champ. He's already done what it took to get there. And I think a lot of these guys are realizing once you get the belt, that opens up a different kind of money for you. Now that you got a different kind of money, you really want to keep people wanting to watch you, so you got to be entertaining. I liked it for those reasons.
I think that not only did you like it, but I think the fans liked it. And I think what comes across more than anything, in my opinion, when you say mixed martial arts, right? That's the true value in it, is that it is mixed. Like there are different styles, and styles make fights. But in this case, you're seeing that chess match between, okay, how does the striker address an elite wrestler? How does the elite wrestler address the striker? And you saw both of them, I think in the fourth round, you saw a good switch up there, and Muhammad kind of did a little bit better in that case. But I think when the chess pieces are on the board and you're picking out your strategy, you can't just be dominant in one area. You got to address all the areas. And so if you neglect one, you're going to get exposed. And I think that one of the things that the UFC does that I think is better than, let's say, in boxing, is that the UFC, like you said, Mark, is allowing these guys that are on fire, hey, take a shot at the title. Man, you might be the person that have the combination to unlock this box and take this champion out. And so when you see champions in the UFC that have defended the belt multiple times, you know that those champions are truly great because they have a lot. There is no dodging. There is no picking your opponents. You take whatever comes. And a lot of times, that's who we think would make the best matchup for the fans. And I salute them for being upfront and allowing those fights to happen.
So how does the welterweight division look? Is it a lot of competition there? What does Muhammad do from here? What does the champ do? Who's next up?
I think champ and Islam may fight next. Everybody will be watching that for sure.
Islam wants to move up and be a double champ, so he already vacated his belt at the lightweight to move up to welterweight. I'm not 100% a fan of the move. I hope he was doing it just because it was tough to make the weight. It's easier to move up to a different weight class to, pick a champ that you think may be weak than it is to stay in, a tough division and defend that belt time after time. Again, I got to give respect to Jon Jones because he did it. He sat there at light heavyweight and he defended it time after time against people who nobody was going to give him credit for. But these were some tough young guys who were training their whole life to beat him. So we're not going to see that from Mokaev. This jumping to go get another belt was started by Conor McGregor, and it seems that the trend is continuing as we see Topuria and Mokaev doing it. But I think moving from 155 to 170 is a bit tougher of a jump than most people think. That 15 pounds matters. I think Jack's going to be bigger than Mokaev thinks. I think Islam had a tough time the first fight he had with Alex Volkanovski. And I think he's going to have a tough one with this guy who's just physically bigger than him. So, I think it'll be an interesting fight. I wish Islam would have stayed down longer. But I think if this guy beats Islam, he won't get the due he should. There'll be the excuses that, Islam was too small anyway. But I hope he gets another shot and stays there at welterweight and understands that the true fans, the true mixed martial art connoisseurs, every time you defend that belt, every tally you put, respect is on that.
When my name come up, respect it. Let's go. Stop playing with my f***ing name.
Because there's not too many people defending these belts. It's easier to win a belt than to defend it.
Yes.
Let me repeat that. It is easier to win a belt than it is to defend it. And that's why, a lot of people, rightfully so, have, flack that they throw at Conor McGregor because he never defended a UFC belt. And I get that. It's easier to win it than to defend it.
You remind me of, dare I say, the sweet science, and thinking about one famous person who is jumping up a couple of weight divisions to take on Canelo Alvarez, and I'm just, man, I just don't see it. I think the whole weight thing is true. Like you walk around, Canelo could walk in the ring at 190 on fight night. A big dude, and I just don't see Bud. I just don't see him. It's gonna be tough, man. You can have all the skills you want, but if you hitting somebody and they ain't feeling it because they are so much bigger than you, I don't know. And I think that these guys moving up in UFC also are going to feel that struggle. I was actually concerned with Jon Jones when he moved up, wondering, man, has he taken a punch from a heavyweight? Is he going to be able to handle that? I mean, he's the GOAT, and he did, but I don't think everybody can do that.
We're gonna have to wait and see. I'm gonna keep my eye on those names y'all just threw out there. And as for Bud Crawford, hey, if he conditioned enough to stick and move, I think he can outbox him. Do I think he can outbrawl him? No. Do I think he can bully him? Nah. But if he conditioned enough where he can stick and move, prime example when Tank fought the guy Lamont, not Lamont Roach, the other guy before him. I forget his name. The guy was actually winning the fight, but he wasn't conditioned enough. He got tired. Tank caught him with the left hook. He went to sleep. That can happen to Crawford if he's not conditioned and he don't have the power that Canelo will respect. So we'll see.
Yeah, that's
I mean,
my concern. My concern is that he's going to bite down on his mouthpiece, close his eyes, and connect with Canelo with his hardest punch, and Canelo is just going to walk through it. That's my fear. And now you got 12 more rounds to deal with that. And you're going to be running. And don't forget, Canelo is also a good boxer. He ain't just a brawler.
Yeah,
He
no
is a
question.
good. He knows how to cut the ring off. He knows how to deal with fireflies that are like dancing around, and he knows how to deal with that. And like I said, and you may have heard other people say this, you know, Canelo, and this alludes to what Mark said, Canelo could win this fight, and people are going to be like, all right, well, you were supposed to win that fight, right?
No.
He's
Uh-uh.
not getting anything out of this.
No, that ain't that. This ain't that. This ain't that because he was supposed to beat Floyd Mayweather.
Ooh.
That's what he was supposed to beat Floyd Mayweather. He was 25 years old in his prime. Floyd Mayweather was in his 30s, probably his late 30s. And took the boy to school.
Big bag. Oh, don't he spot us? Oh.
He took him to school.
He did.
You need to play that tape when you training kids. Look, this is how you do it. But
Yeah.
everybody not blessed with Floyd's mind, his hand speed, and you know, it's hard to duplicate that.
So here's the difference though between Micaiah versus Madalena and Crawford versus Canelo. Crawford versus Canelo. Crawford and Canelo, people would say they're roughly in the same kind of stage of their career, late in their careers. But Canelo has not looked good in his past 3 fights. He has not looked like the fighter of old. When you look at the other side though, the UFC, both of these fighters are kind of in their prime. You would kind of say Jack is a little bit before his prime. However, Jack seems to be a little bit younger. And as the younger, bigger guy, Islam is primarily a wrestler. It's going to be really hard to wrestle a younger, bigger, stronger guy. I'm not saying you can't do it. But when I've watched Islam's fights, a lot of the ways he's able to get guys down and dominate them is because he is stronger than them. You can just tell by watching. Is he going to be physically stronger than Jack? I don't know. When you look at the Crawford-Canelo, Crawford could very well be stronger than Canelo on fight night because Canelo has been looking questionable. He's not aging gracefully. He's not aging like Floyd. So that's the big difference between those two. And I think both of those fights are closer than people think. I think both of them are a coin flip, and we're not going to know until we see them coming out of the back and we can look in their eyes and see what's going on in their mind. We're not going to know who's going to win that fight. I don't care who's trying to call it. They don't know until that night.
Yeah, I agree. That's a good point.